All right, so I'm not going to go as in depth with certain signs and placements at this point. I'm simply just giving you kind of how to navigate horoscopes. All right, there's some confusion. I want to make sure people kind of feel a sense of what it looks like, right? So who's going to be able to resonate with this? This is mine, right? So I do horoscope posts on Instagram every month. I do the collective energy for everybody, like what signs are moving to different planets are moving, signs and all that. And I also do the horoscope for the signs. Now, I have learned that by tracking transits, I can help signs better understand big themes. Now, this is not going to be as specific to everyone, and for everyone, it might mean something different. For instance, for some Tauruses, Venus moving to Gemini might be more of a love impact based on other things happening in their life and their chart. But we know Venus also rules money. So for some Tauruses, it might have more to do with the money aspect. Get what I'm saying? So the only way to know how it's going to affect you is you to get a reading or for you to know your own chart and those things as well. So I'm not going to read this to you, but you can kind of see how this is how I do the research of what's moving. I do the research and then I put it together and I use my intuition, and I also pull a card, I shuffle and pull a card for each sign, a message for the month to focus on. I also include the astrological lens, what's moving and what might that mean for you. I want people to be able to empower themselves. Who can resonate with this? This is for Taurus Sun or Taurus Rising, because here's why you're going to show you in a second why that matters, okay? But people need to understand that when you are looking at your horoscope, you should check specifically for your sun and your rising sign. Moon too, but I would definitely start with the sun and the rising. Now, if you're like me, my rising and my sun is the same sign, so that makes it a little bit easier for certain things. So now let's look at our friend. We made her up, Star Moon. So Star Moon is a Taurus, right? So she's probably going to start here. Oops, sorry. She's going to start here. She's a Taurus. She's going to start here. But she might say, wait, I get what she's saying, but I need more information. Like, what does this look like? So here's how I would look at this. So Star Moon, she's a Taurus. Wait a minute, Amethyst Virgo. You said that Venus moves into Gemini in the second house of Taurus, people. Why don't I see this in her chart? Good question. It's because we're using her birth chart information, and this is more accurate than just the sun sign. Do you get what I'm saying? We can use the sun as a basis. We can use the horoscope as a basis, right? There's plenty of people online giving horoscopes. You have to find who you resonate with. That's all I would say. Find who you resonate with, who's mostly right, and who can explain things to you. If someone's just telling you something because it sounds cute or it sounds bad and they want you to buy something from them, there's nothing wrong with getting support. There's nothing wrong with buying services from somebody who knows what they're talking about. But I want you to understand that you should be buying from people who can help you transform yourself, not just telling you good or bad news, right? Are they understanding how to get you to the point where you can make decisions for yourself as well? So if you look here, right, we're going to look here. And the reason why is because she's a Leo rising. So she should also be looking at the horoscope for Leo sun, because people who, let's say you have a person who's a Leo sun, Leo rising, their transit is going to look just like hers. Now, it might be off by a degree or so. What do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes just because someone has the same rising as you doesn't mean their planets are in the same place as you. So for instance, I've seen somebody who has the same rising as someone else, and one person's Mercury is in Pisces, or Mercury is in the 8th house in the transit, and the other person's Mercury is in the 9th house. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, I'm not going to go in depth. Degrees matter. So all these numbers you see, people's charts are different. So when you know your chart, you can better understand this. Okay, now, if I'm looking at Star Moon, what I'm already noticing, again, I'm not going as in depth as I would in an actual reading, but I'm kind of walking you through what to notice and what kind of information would you get from a horoscope reading. You would get, already, if I'm noticing all this stuff in one house, pause. First of all of us have one house right now that's probably got a lot of stuff in it. Okay, my 5th house I think has a lot of stuff in it. So this palace right here, that is an asteroid. I do work with asteroids a little bit in my reading. So but we also see that there's Mars, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. She's working a lot. This individual is working a lot, and somewhere in the world there's somebody that has his exact birth information. Okay, like, so they're probably working a lot. They're working a lot, and they're probably either still having to go out and work or working from home, and it's difficult, or they're trying to figure this out. They are still doing their daily life is still busy. This individual, right? What I also would be giving her guidance on is like the 9th house is a house of exploration and travel. She probably can't travel and she feels restless right now because the sun is in Aries. All right. She's not an Aries, but the sun is in Aries for all of us. Okay. And so wherever the sun is right now is the area that we might feel the most impulse or the most angsty about, the one we want to do the most about, wherever the sun is right now in our chart. Now, if you look here, her moon is in Pisces, 29 degrees, critical degree. Those who know astrology know the 29th degree is kind of like really critical. It can be challenging. Why? It's about to move into something else. So it really doesn't fully feel it has the energy of the sign it's in, but it's still in that sign. You get what I'm saying? So to me, I'm saying she's almost a moon in Aries person. So she's really feeling this energy right now. Okay. She's feeling this Aries energy and it feels restrictive to her. Now, what I also know is, so again, if I'm doing someone's horoscope, I'm probably not doing it just for one day, okay? So I'm going to look and say, okay, so what's going to happen to her transits come the 15th? One thing I know to be true is this. That 0 degree Venus Gemini, when I'm giving her horoscope, I'm not using the 10th house, folks. Here's why. Venus just went into Gemini yesterday. It's going to be in Gemini for a bit. What that means is there's no way it's staying in her 10th house because her 11th house is ruled by Gemini. Gemini is on the cusp of her 11th house. And since Gemini is on the cusp of her 11th house, and because Venus is in the sign of Gemini in astrology, Venus has to move into her 11th house. So even though Venus in Gemini doesn't start there, right? You see what I'm saying? It's left over because remember, Venus was just in Taurus, which is why it was in her 10th house. Her 10th house has Taurus energy in it. This has to move to the 11th house. You get what I'm saying? So let's say April 15th. All right. So I speeded time up a little bit, but as you can see, that has to be in that 11th house at some point. So because Venus is going to be in her 11th house way longer than it's going to be in her 10th house, my horoscope for her is going to be around the 11th house energy. Okay. And what we're also noticing here is the sun is in Aries, 26 degrees. That's almost to that 29. Once we hit 29, we're now moving into another sign. We're about to, right? So what I see here is now she's moving closer. So around the 15th or so, things will calm down probably a little bit for her. Okay. Now, again, if she was asking me a specific question, I would be way more specific in her reading. But this is just me showing you how I would approach this and what type of information might you get if you get an individual horoscope. So what I'm looking at here is the sun is about to go into in Taurus. So I might tell her by the 15th, she's going to feel a little bit more calm, right? But then I also need to look at what's going to happen by the end of the month. So already I'm noticing that she's probably dealing with some issues with stability. She's trying to get her stability back. And she's going to feel more aligned with herself. Let's go to the 22nd. So once we've already hit Taurus season. Okay. So once she hits the 22nd, the sun now has entered Taurus. She's going to feel more centered. It's Taurus season. She's a Taurus. She also has her Mercury in Taurus. So she's going to feel a little bit more comfortable at this point. Now, here's the thing. Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is erratic. Uranus has been in Taurus for a while at this point, and it's going to be in Taurus. It's going to be in her house for a couple, I have to look exact years, but a couple years. It's not going nowhere anytime soon, okay? So when I'm looking at her chart, what I'm noticing here is she's still going to be feeling a sense of I need more stability, or I need to figure out who I am, what career I want, my reputation, because the 10th house deals with career and reputation. She's been probably trying to figure things out for a while. She's probably not happy with all this work she has to do here. Whatever she's doing here is probably really daunting, right? She's trying to do it probably for the money, probably for gain, right? And so she's still feeling this sense of instability, and she's still going to have to experiment with different things, because Uranus energy tells us it's okay to experiment. When we see Uranus somewhere, it's giving us permission to go ahead and do what we need to do. So let's look by the end of the month. So again, when I'm doing a horoscope reading, I'm not just looking for one day, because as you know, planets do shift. So I'm looking throughout the whole month, the beginning, the middle, the end, in order to give her monthly horoscope. So she's going to be more on top of her game at the end of April. So if she's thinking of any decisions, if she's thinking of anything that's going to make her feel more stable, more secure, she should probably make that decision closer to the end of the month. Because if you look at the 29th, we now have, she has like a stellium. So some people consider a stellium is multiple planets in one house. And that gives it a lot of energy. Okay. It gives a lot of focal attention to certain areas of your life. I personally consider 3 or more. Some people say 4. Some people say, 3. I say 3 because I have I have 2 stelliums, and I do think they're really, they weigh heavy in that area of my life. So I personally have experienced that. So that's why I, view it as such. It could be positive, but also can be, a little troublesome. But it depends. Listen, here's what I say about charts. Use the energy before it uses you. Anyway. She has a stellium here in the 10th house by the end of the month. So when she's more forward thinking in what is going to make her feel the most stable and the most safe. This might be a good decision where she hears news about something dealing with her career. She might feel more confident about what she's hearing at that particular time. So she might have been questioning her job or her stability, and she might feel more comfortable at that time. Especially since Mars moves out of her by the end of the month. Mars is now in her 7th house. Mars in Aquarius. Okay, so she also could have broken out. She could have left a certain job, right? She could feel like there's some conflict between her and a group, and she's trying to distinguish herself from a group. Again, I'm way more intricate and detailed. I'm super detail oriented, Virgo energy. When I'm doing a specific reading, this is just me trying to give you a sample of what that would look like. Again, if I was doing a reading for somebody, I would go over all of this and tell her everything. Neptune is in Pisces, so I would be explaining that energy as well, because she's kind of trying to follow her dreams. I feel like this would be a chart of somebody trying to follow their dreams, and like I would be able to give her guidance towards by the end of the month what she should be able to hear back, what she should be anticipating, what kind of things would show up. But that is what I wanted to show you. Again, hopefully this helped you out a little bit in understanding like the intricacy of it all, right? It is important to, if you have your birth time, I know some people do not have their birth time, but if you have it, really, take time one time to get a horoscope reading, because it's going to be way more specific to you as an individual.